How about as
Rockstar. Hey, should take you need to get your shirt off too.
I kind of grew out of that.
That was a great picture.
When you get 60,
That was a great thing. The photo was awesome.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, you responded so quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes people will say they hung the horn at the house, and sometimes we hear it.
What is it?
Oh.
What is it? No, I can't. You can Check that.
Well, good evening, everyone. It is at 7 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'd ask everybody to please take a seat. And right after I ask you to take a seat, I'm going to ask you to stand up because we're going to have the colors presented.
Color guard, attention. Color guard, advance. Color guard, halt. Color guard, present colors. Scout salute. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2. Color guard, dismiss.
Okay, you may be seated. My name is Jerry Mulligan. I'm publisher of the Chronicle. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. This is going to be a very informal process this evening. We do these things, and the Chronicle's been doing them for 50, 60 years now in Citrus County for general elections and primaries and all sorts of city council and school board races. And it's one of the roles that we play to make sure that there's enough dialogue and enough conversation about local elections. And there really isn't always enough dialogue. A lot of people go out and they cast their votes and they don't really know enough about the issues. And that's why I'm thankful that you guys come out tonight and listen to the candidates, hear what they have to say, and make your decision. I'm a city voter, and I can tell you I'm going to make my decision after tonight's conversation too. So I appreciate and congratulate you for being involved. The way this is going to work tonight, we have 3 candidates for city council. We have 1 seat open. The incumbent is Mike Udis. One of the candidates tonight, Brandon Buckingham, could not be with us. Brandon has a business and had to be that deals with hurricanes and different things like that. And he's off providing services in the hurricane area, so he could not be here. We do have a spokesperson for him. He's going to come and he's going to read a statement, and we'll do that in a second. But let me just explain how the process is going to work again, very informal. We're going to have each one of the candidates come up, make an opening statement, and then I'm going to have Mike Wright, a reporter with the newspaper for a long time. Say hi, Mike. Mike's going to spend about the next half hour asking the candidates questions. So we're not going to have a whole lot of rules. I'll be the moderator. If anyone gets out of hand, I'll stop them. I'm good at that. But I don't think they will. I think everybody's pretty friendly and understands this is all about the future of Crystal River. What I'd ask you guys to do is to follow some proper protocol. One, make sure your telephones are turned off. Let's not hear any ringing while we're going through this. I will tell you that there are restrooms. There are restrooms back this way, restrooms over here. It's a great facility. We appreciate them letting us use it this evening. But no hooting and hollering or yelling at candidates. Just let's be polite. I know some of you can't control yourselves, but Deb, try to control yourself this evening. Okay, with that we're gonna start. And let me close. When we're done the 30 minutes of questions, we'll let each candidate stand up for a couple minutes and give a closing statement and just tell you why they think they're the best candidate for the job. But before we begin the official process, I'm going to ask Meredith Gleekly to come up and provide a statement from Brandon. So Meredith, come on.
Good evening. First, I would like to thank the Chronicle for their efforts in making tonight possible. I deeply apologize for not being able to be here with you tonight. We are all aware that Hurricane Michael caused catastrophic damage across the Panhandle, and my company, Advanced Septic, has been called upon to assist in recovery efforts. While my candidacy for the Crystal River City Council is extremely important to me, I felt it was more important to be able to serve the citizens of Florida who are left putting the pieces of their life back together. Service has been an ongoing theme in my life. I've been a proud member of the Crystal River Volunteer Fire Department since 2012, as well as spent 2 years as an active member of the Citrus County Sheriff's Office Fire Department. My parents instilled in me the importance of giving back to your community, and I have not taken that advice lightly. As a third-generation resident of Crystal River, this community is a huge part of my life. I have made the choice to continue to live here, to raise my young family here. I want what you want, a thriving community for my children to grow up in and one day to take the reins of. You need to know that I am not a politician, and with no disrespect, I say that with pride. I'm just a local guy, a business owner, a father, a husband, and a concerned community member that wants to see forward movement into the success of our city. Our waterways are extremely important to me. In 2011, I started Sodium Fishing Gear, a brand I created to put Crystal River on the map. I wanted others outside of our community to be drawn here to experience the fishing, scalloping, and other water activities that I grew up being able to do. If elected, continuing to clean our rivers and bay will be high on my priority list. We have had some great steps forward in accomplishing this through the help of our local elected legislative officials, city staff, and local nonprofit groups. I will make sure that momentum remains. I want to see more aggressive public and private partnerships to attract the right businesses to our city. I will work with business owners to help them expand, which will create more jobs. As a business owner myself within the city of Crystal River, I have some insight that could help streamline business processes. As we are all aware, plans for a new city hall are underway. It would be an honor to serve as a council member during that process. A new city hall could be a beacon for the city, help us create and solidify our identity, be a boon for the business district, and provide more opportunities for all our community members. Anyone who knows me knows that Parks and Recreation are a personal passion of mine. For the past several years, I have served as a volunteer community advisor to the Citrus County Parks and Recreation Department. I would love to see the city of Crystal River partner more with the county to increase the parks and recreation opportunities within city limits. I want to see the city offer youth and adult recreation leagues. By increasing the opportunities for people to play sports at our city parks, you will bring more people into city limits for shopping and eating. Also, you will create revenue that can be used to maintain and enhance our city parks. Tourism is the backbone of Crystal River, whether we like it or not. We must embrace this and use it to our advantage. I want to look at ways to leverage the millions of dollars tourism brings to offset the residential tax burden. I believe that after a decade as a business owner and my experience in public service, that it is now time for me to step into another leadership role. It's time for my generation to take the reins from the generation before us and lead. As the youngest candidate, I realize my age may make you leery, but you can trust my word. I'm ready, I'm able, and I want to lead. Crystal River is perched at the edge of big things: the completion of the Riverwalk, the building of the new City Hall, working towards the Bayside Master Plan, which includes a new playground for our children. I want to be the next city councilman to bring a new perspective and a voice for these major changes. Again, I apologize for not being with you tonight, but I would be honored to have your vote on November 6th. Vote Brandon Buckingham for Crystal River City Council Seat 2.
Okay, what we will do now is make this thing work again. How's that? Yeah, there we go. We're going to go ahead and begin with opening statements from the two candidates. And let me ask the question that's on everybody's mind tonight: is how can we have two candidates for office whose last name both begins with a G-U? we do this by alphabetical order, so this is a first. The way we're going to do this is we will have opening statements by Mr. Gudis, who will begin, and this guy will conclude, and then we will flop it for the closing statement. So with that, we're going to invite Mr. Gudis up to give his opening statement.
Thank you. I don't know whether Mike needs a mic, but I'll do it. Good evening. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Chronicle, for having us. The Chronicle has always done a good job of that, letting us candidates express what we want people to hear, and I'm proud to be here tonight. I am Mike Gudis, a proud and patriotic veteran. I am proud to be a team member of the Crystal River City Council that has done so much in the last 4 years for the economic development and beautification of the city. My participation was involved in the improvements of Hunter Springs Park. If you haven't been there, it's a wonderful place to go, where many families can go for enjoyment of the water. And Kingsway Park, where many activities, including music, is often had there. The further economic development of our downtown area and new restaurant and shops, and the opening of Three Sisters Springs for people to personally see the manatees, including the trolley that offers access to the park and a tour of the city. And if you haven't taken the trolley, you're missing the boat. I recommended a line of credit to lower the costs for the completion of the land portion of the Riverwalk. Part of the problem is that since it's been held up by the bureaucracy, the costs keep going up. So I was concerned about how much it would cost the city to complete it. So we got a line of credit which stabilizes the amount of interest we would have to pay. I've been involved in moving the Riverwalk along to completion, which will bring more jobs and businesses to Crystal River. I personally led the charge for permitting the use of golf carts on certain streets to allow seniors easier access to shopping and banks. As a result of listening to a citizen, we now fly American-made flags year-round, and Crystal River has been designated a patriotic city. Crystal River is known internationally as a wonderful place to visit, our environmental sites, and the manatees. The Crystal River Area Council is made up of business people, residents, and city officials who meet monthly to discuss and recommend economic opportunities for the city. Crystal River is part of the Main Street program of the state of Florida, whose goal is to revitalize the historic downtown. I see I'm running out of time, so I will continue at a later time reports for station identification. Thank you.
Now we will hear from Miss Cindy Guy, the challenger in this race. Miss Guy.
Is that all right? No, a little closer? Should it let it go off?
You're good.
No, the switch went off.
No, it's good.
I was
Something
listening to it.
happened. Is that better? There
Yes.
we are. All right. Good evening, and I want to thank the George Washington Carver Center for hosting us, the Chronicle for planning the event, and all of you for coming out this evening. I'm Cindy Guy, and I'm running for City Council, Seat 2, and I'm also a business owner and a property owner here in Crystal River. I'm a native Floridian and raised in Ocala, enjoyed many fishing trips with my father growing up in Ocala, and he brought me over here all the time. I've always considered this area my home. I'm the mother of 3 boys. My oldest son, Cameron, is a first-year med student at UF. My middle son, Colin, manages my Manatee Tour business, and my third son is a senior at Crystal River High School. My fiance, Patrick Patterson, is a 25-year Navy veteran and currently works at the VA in Gainesville. I have always honored and supported our veterans for all they have given to our country. After high school, I received a bachelor's degree in business from High Point University and graduated with honors. Over 16 years ago, my father became terminally ill and had a construction inspection business I took over. After that, in Crystal River, I started 2 new businesses at the same time. I opened Majestic Manatee Tours 5 years ago and Majestic Wedding Chapel here 3 years ago. I chose to run for City Council after experiencing challenges working with our city processes, both as a business owner and resident. I have met many residents and business owners who have told me they have also experienced the same challenge. It simply needs to change. I know what it takes to run a business that lives and breathes in customer service. My platform addresses 3 main things. As a business owner and resident, I recognize we need to reform City Hall by training city staff on how can we help you, expedite the permitting process and research the feasibility of handing permits over to the county, make the city responsive, transparent, and accountable to all of us. As someone who runs a Manatee Eco Tour business, I know the importance of protecting our environment. We all want to foster positive relationships with U.S. Fish and Wildlife that I already have, and I want to continue and bolster the Kings Bay Restoration Project. Support and expand eelgrass programs, which are critical to improving the water quality and restoring Kings Bay. As a tax-paying property owner and resident, I want to help improve our local economy, revitalize blighted areas, including the Crystal River Mall and other shopping plazas. I want to privatize the Three Sister Springs trolley to free up the city resources needed elsewhere. Create an enhanced city economic development business plan with community input. New leadership, the right leadership, is needed to put City Hall to work for Crystal River residents, property owners, and businesses. I'm here to roll up my sleeves and listen to our community and go to work. Thank you.
Okay, good job, candidates. Let's go ahead and invite Mike Wright up now, and he's gonna ask some questions of the candidates for about the next 30 minutes. Mike?
Good evening. I'm Mike Wright. I'm the senior reporter for the Chronicle, and we're going to be really informal tonight. It's going to be Mike and Cindy. Even though I'm wearing a tie, it's a Looney Tunes tie, so we're okay. So like I said, like Jerry mentioned, we're going to ask questions for 30 minutes. There's no time limit on the answers, but we want to keep them fairly concise, and we want to see some interaction. And the kind of questions and answers I'm looking for particularly are not so much ideas and broad thoughts, but more specifically about what you as council members can do to affect change. So the first thing I want to ask about is a question or the issue that Cindy brought up. It has to do with business relationships with the City Hall and the community. And Mike, I want to ask you this first. Does City Hall have a customer service problem?
We have had some problems in the past. We have a very small staff. Thank you. We have a very small staff, and we have a lady who has been probably overworked, especially when there's been flooding. She handles all the FEMA problems. And she also had the job of making sure that things move smoothly in City Hall, as far as as far as new businesses. We have, I think we're going to be rectifying that situation. Many of you know Mr. Dumas. He has now been made assistant city manager, and he is going to be handling a lot of the things that we need to do better, and that is to make sure that we encourage businesses and provide jobs in the city. So I think there has been a problem in the past for some people, not for everybody, but we do plan on improving the situation, and I think we took the first step in doing that.
Okay, Cindy, can you give us one example, please, of someone you know personally who you believe has had a bad experience with City Hall, specifically in the building permitting area?
Yeah, one person in general, a gentleman by the name of Mike, I won't get his last name, but he submitted permitting to the city to refurbish the car wash that's right there on 44. A year later, nothing's been done. They keep pushing the permitting around, giving him all different reasons why they can't pass that permit, and it came down to like one parking spot. That was an existing business car wash, and all he wanted to do was fix it up and beautify it and make it not a blighted project, and it's been sitting for a year. That's unacceptable.
Okay, so go ahead, Mike. Answer that.
You know, we have ordinances in the city, just like every city. And there are times when business people come in and want to do something, and it is not feasible as far as the ordinances are concerned. And I've been always saying to the city manager, both the past one and the present one, that we need to find a legal way to do things and not discourage people from living here. One of the things that bothers me the most is that when the city approves a particular operation and they do what they're supposed to do and find out later that there has to be some changes, that is a problem. There's no question about it. And the truth of the matter is that the city council is not a staff function. It is a legislative and policy function. When someone calls me up or sends me an email and tells me they've got a problem, I bring it to the attention of the rest of the council and the city manager and assistant city manager to resolve the problem if that's possible. So there are times when things can be solved, and there are times when they can't be. If someone builds something on their property, and they haven't gotten a permit, or it's against the ordinance involved, and they are turned down, and they get upset with the city, there's nothing we can do about that.
How do you know that?
How do we know that?
Yeah, how do you know that Cindy's point is that there are people who are running into problems at City Hall with maybe instances that are not ordinance related? I mean, how much do you really are into this?
This council is not involved in the operations of the city.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Cindy. I mean, you're a council person, and someone comes to you with the example that you gave us and said, I have a problem, I want you to please fix it. What do you do as a council member?
I would go to the person having the problems, I'd find out what the problem was, and I would do everything I could do to help that person. There's just a negative attitude that's been going on for quite a few years. We need to have a helping hand for businesses and residents that are trying to beautify their projects or homes. We did question the city not long ago. When was the last time that they actually reviewed the codes and ordinances, that they're supposed to review them on a regular basis, and they have not been reviewed in years and years, and I couldn't get a straight answer on the last time they were reviewed, and that needs to change.
Okay, let's go on to another issue, business related, and it has to do with something we all see on US 19, that's the blight of the shopping centers. Boy, there's something we've been talking about for quite a long time. What is the city council doing about it now? What should it be doing about it? And Mike, why don't you start with that?
Well, we are doing something about it. None of us are happy about how things look on 19 or 44 for that matter. We are in the process of telling the owners, and many of them are out-of-state owners, we're telling the owners that either they have to fix up their property or they will be fined. We'll put a lien on the property. And hopefully we'll get some response from people to fix up their property. We even have a grant program that the city council has put through where we give people money for half the cost of fixing up their property up to a certain amount. And we've gotten several businesses to take advantage of that. We're not happy with what's going on, either residentially or commercially. And we're gonna start getting tough about fixing things up. The problem is that people have certain property rights. And you cannot force people to do things unless you're willing to put it into ordinance and actually follow through on it.
Cindy, how's that working?
I don't think it's working very well. The blighted areas have been like this for years, and nothing's been done about them. I don't think the correct answer is to impose fines on people. I think the answer is to try to work with people and see how we can help them. Imposing fines is just a negative aspect, I think, of all that. It's not helping.
So you're on the city council and you see a shopping center. What can you as a city council person do to help them?
I would attempt to go to the owners and find out what the problem is and how we could possibly start a business incubator with the county and see if we can get businesses rolling that way.
Can I just comment?
Sure.
You know, we could promise, we could say anything pie in the sky, but I've been on the council for 8 years. I've seen what the problems are. Most of us realize that we have to do something about it, but it's not easy. You can promise anything. Sure, we've gone to our property owners and asked them to fix things up or do certain things, but there's some people, especially if they're out of state, they don't even pay any attention to us. So there are times where you have to get tough with some people in order to get things done. We don't want to fine people, we want people to fix up their property, but sometimes fining them would be the only way to get them to do it.
Okay, let's go on to another tourism-related issue. This question came to us from a reader and has to do with tourism in Crystal River, which we all know quite a bit about. I want to ask both of you, and Cindy, we'll start with you. Does the city council address tourism well enough, and if not, what else should it be doing?
Well, I think they are doing just fine with tourism. I think tourism needs to be defined or directed by Discover Crystal River folks, and the Friends are doing a great job in promoting tourism. I think part of the city council is to represent residents and business owners and not be in the tourism business.
Can you explain a little bit what you mean by that, not being in the tourism business?
Well, for instance, my idea of privatizing the trolley, I don't think our city resources should be used to run a trolley. There's not adequate parking there. It takes up time from staff to run that trolley, and I think it needs to go to a private person that can manage it off-site, possibly at the mall where there's plenty of parking and could help bring business to the mall.
Mike, you want to respond to that, or give us your
Yeah, we started out actually having a private company person really running the trolley. And unfortunately, it's not an easy thing to do. So the city had to take it over. And if it wasn't for the city taking it over, there wouldn't be any trolley. So the idea was to, in effect, have the city do it. I'm not in favor of government running private enterprise, but it was the only way that we could get a way into Three Sisters. If it wasn't for the city taking over the trolley, Three Sisters couldn't operate. It just so happens the trolley is profitable. And the money that we make as a result of running the trolley, that money is put back into Three Sisters. So it lets us do things that would normally not be done. So there's no reason why we shouldn't. If someone wanted to run the trolley as a private business, I'd be in favor of it. But they have to be able to prove that they know what they're doing and that they're dependable and that they do the job that we expect of them.
Cindy, you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I disagree with that. I know of a couple of business owners that have put in applications to take over the trolley and wanted it to go up for bid to different companies, and it just got put on the back burner.
So the question of both of you that has to do about tourism is, how are the residents served by tourism? I mean, that's why I always wonder about where City Hall's involvement is in these sort of things.
Well, I believe the residents, we're highly involved in tourism. It's what our economy is based on at this point. Of course, we'd like to reach out and get some different economy figures here in town, new businesses, but for right now, it's heavily tourism based. And what that does for homeowners is it provides places to shop, places to eat. And so we have to embrace tourism for right now until we can bring more businesses to our town.
Mike, any thoughts on that?
You know, I represent the city on the Tourist Development Council. And I think the Tourist Development Council has done a marvelous job in promoting tourism in the county, not just in Crystal River, but throughout the county. Tourism is a major necessity as far as economic growth in this county. If it wasn't for tourism, we'd be in real trouble. But Tourism Development Council and tourism is something that is important to this county, important to the city, and it brings people here, and I'm very much in favor of bringing people here so that they can use the restaurants and all the other things that bring in tax money to the city and the county.
Okay, speaking of tourism, that goes into Three Sisters Springs, and of course, the big issue the last year was who was operating Three Sisters Springs and how it was going to be set up. And Mike, I believe you voted against, for, you wanted the city to operate Three Sisters Springs over the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. I'd like to be pleased to explain that vote and ask the two of you how best to have this relationship between the city and Fish and Wildlife so that Three Sisters grows and expands.
It was probably the toughest decision I've ever had to make. I have a very good relationship with Joyce, who is the refuge manager here. I'm very much in favor of Three Sisters. I want it to be successful. But for over 4 years, the city of Crystal River has done all the marketing for Three Sisters, employed personnel, and ran a trolley, all at city taxpayers' expense. So I was committed to making Three Sisters a success, but I felt the city would do a better job in developing Three Sisters, considering the bureaucracy. Tying the hands of the bureaucracy, which the refuge came under, and saying they had $1 million to spend, but not doing anything to spend the money, made some of us in the city feel that the city could do a better job. And it really is a matter of judgment as to who's going to do a better job. I've told Joyce many times I'm all in favor of helping her take over the job and spending the money that's needed to make the Three Sisters better. But as of the time we had to make the decision, they weren't willing to spend any money, so the city, I for one, felt the city could do a better job. We have presently voted in our budget for this coming year $400,000 of taxpayers' money to place water and sewer lines in Three Sisters. There's no question that I'm in favor of making Three Sisters successful, and my major concern was to make Three Sisters move along and not just drag along like it's been for the last 4 years.
City, what do you think about that?
Okay, water and sewer lines kind of.
Well, let's talk about Three Sisters Springs
Right.
first.
Yeah.
Who should run Three Sisters Springs?
I was in support of Fish and Wildlife taking over the management of the Three Sisters Springs. After all, they're the experts on preservation and they understand the manatees. Joyce is a wonderful woman. I'm good friends with her, and I've already got a very good working relationship with Joyce, as I did with Ivan when he was here. But I think they have the money to develop and use their resources to do that. I did not think it was our city taxpayer dollars that should be paying to take care and manage the Three Sisters Springs. That's not what our city government should be doing, in my opinion. However, it was relayed that, yes, it got voted that U.S. Fish and Wildlife would take it over. However, it was said that, why haven't they done anything? And Joyce telling me why they haven't done anything, because all her paperwork was in the city's office, sitting and sitting and sitting and not getting taken care of. So it made them look bad for not getting anything done, but it was in the hands of our city officials not to move the paperwork forward.
Okay, Mike, you want to answer that?
Very, very easy to pass the buck. You know, I live in the real world. I don't live in the world of pie in the sky. I don't live in the world of what if. When you're on the council, you have to make some tough decisions. You win some, you lose some, and you don't always please everybody. All of the things that we're talking about here tonight are things that I've dealt with for 8 years, and it's not easy, but it's something that has to be done in order to do what's right. And as far as I'm concerned, the city is run by a staff, a very good staff for the most part, a city manager that I think has done an excellent job.
Getting to the point I believe the city just made was that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife had plans, had ideas they wanted to do, but it sat on someone's desk.
Well, that's a matter of opinion.
Okay.
To be honest with you, as much as I like Joyce and I work with Joyce on other things, both sides could have done a better job. So you can't blame the city. You can't blame Fish and Wildlife. It was a matter of the two sides getting together and getting things done. And we're doing that now.
So how do you continue that relationship so that it gets better and free systems?
Well, the city council has a representative on a group now that meets with Joyce and her staff, and they are working towards ironing things out and making things happen. In the meantime, the city has in their budget lots of money in order to help improve the park. And the park would not have opened if it wasn't for the city.
Cindy, you want to get a last shot on that?
Well, I believe Joyce, and I believe that emails weren't answered in a proper, timely manner, and that's all I have to say about that.
Okay. Let's switch gears for a second to talk about a pretty significant community or neighborhood in the community, and that's Copeland Park. Do you think that the city provides enough services to the neighborhoods in Copeland Park, and if you see any places that need to be taken care of, what are they? What are you going to do about that? Cindy, you want to start off with that?
Well, I know the residents in Copeland Park have some issues with the 25-foot setback rule that is in place right now. That the 25 setback is for waterfront owners, that they have to be 25 feet back from the water. Well, the same rule applies to those folks in Copeland Park, and I don't think that's fair. I think something needs to be done about that to even out the playing field for those folks.
So what should be done about that?
Well, they need to revisit where the setback lines should be, and not incorporate those folks in with the people that are on the water.
So you believe the setback in Copeland Park should be different than it is in other places in the city?
Well, the waterfront properties, yes.
Okay, Mike, you want to handle that?
Yeah, I've been dealing with folks in Copeland Park for years. I've never heard that complaint from maybe more than one person. If that is a true problem, obviously we need to look at it, but I have never heard that complaint before. The setbacks are in there for a reason, primarily to protect the water. And we have different setbacks on coastal property and different setbacks within the city, and there are reasons for doing that. And to, in effect, say that everybody should have the same setback, I think is being a little bit unrealistic. If there is a problem, as far as the homes in Copeland Park, I haven't heard about it, but I'm willing to certainly look into it and see what we can do about it. I don't think that's a problem that exists in to any extent.
Okay. I also want to ask you about the new City Hall. The latest report says the City Hall should be built on, I'm getting this right, Citrus Avenue and US 19. What do you think about? Do I have that wrong?
Yeah. Some people feel that way. Some people don't.
Okay.
We hired a consulting firm, a pretty good-sized consulting firm, and they looked at five different places to locate City Hall, and it's been narrowed down to two. One is Citrus Avenue and 19, and one is the present location where City Hall is now, in the back of the old building. And to be honest with you, I have always been in favor of building a new City Hall on the property we own, where the old City Hall is, knocking down the old City Hall, making that a park, and building a new City Hall 2 stories up, and saving that property at Citrus and 19 for something that really is different. Something that we could really be proud of, which has maybe commercial on the first floor, as residential on the second floor. We do have mixed use in the city, and I think that would be a better use of that particular site, which is the most visible site of the city. And I think that we have better things to do with it, make it a city hall.
Cindy, what do you think about where the City Hall should be?
Well, we just spent $60,000 of taxpayer money to evaluate whether we should rebuild or put the city hall in a flood zone area, which kind of makes me pause. I believe right now with the lack of money that we have, without going overboard and spending a lot of money rebuilding a city hall, our focus should be to possibly put that city hall in the mall and work hand in hand with the mall in Millie and have a development agency within our city to try to encourage businesses to bring businesses back to our mall. And I think that would be the perfect location. It wouldn't cost a lot for construction at this time, and I think that needs to be considered.
Mike, what do you think about City Hall and the mall?
Why?
What do you think about the idea?
I'd love to be able to help the mall. I'm certainly want to do everything I can to help the mall.
No, what do you think about City Hall being at the mall?
But I don't think City Hall belongs at the mall. I think it belongs in the middle of the city where people have more access to it and where city halls are normally built. I just don't believe that the mall is the proper place for a city hall.
Okay, thank you. An issue that's on the minds of a lot of people these days has to do with illegal drug use. I know the city has a contract with the sheriff's office to provide police protection in Crystal River. How is it working? Cindy?
Well, obviously the mother of 3 boys, one of which is in high school, drug use and safety is utmost importance to me. The illegal drug use that's going on in our downtown areas, I've seen it firsthand. I've had people come up to some of the people at my shop asking if they wanted to buy drugs. We are paying over $800,000 in extra advanced or enhanced support to the sheriff's department, and they need to be a little more accountable and patrol these areas a little bit better. They also need to be accountable to the residents who have complaints against, say, noise ordinances that the sheriff's department in the past just brushed off as the city's responsibility.
Mike, how's the sheriff's office doing with Crystal River?
I think we're doing a great job. I am not happy about having to pay extra money. I've always been in favor of having the city taken care of, both cities taken care of by the county sheriff's department. But when we did away with our own sheriff's department, which I was not in favor of, we had to pay extra in order to make sure that our citizens were kept safe. And I think the sheriff's department is doing a good job. We are asking them to do more and more as far as the sound ordinance is concerned and patrolling the waterways. So we are getting extra services that we wouldn't normally get unless we pay for the extra $800,000. So it's something that I think the sheriff's department is doing a good job on.
What about, Mike, with the returns of illegal drugs?
Well, that's a whole other subject, and I was going to talk about this later. But I've been a leader among elected officials. We had a conference last January, which I think you were at, Mike, where I made the Baker Act facility and opioid problems a real problem. My major problem as far as the county and city were concerned. And I'll talk more about the Baker Act facilities in the continuation of what I said before. But I think we're making some headway. Obviously, drugs are an issue that will probably never stop. But I think we're doing a better job in stopping the illegal use of drugs, and we just have to keep at it.
So do you think the sheriff's office is providing enough protection in that area for the city? It seems like the two of you have a difference of opinion here, like a little more.
You know, I think they are providing adequate coverage, but I think they could be doing more with the enhanced money that we're paying for the sheriff's department just for Crystal River. You know, the folks in Homosassa are getting the same amount of protection and coverage that we're getting, but for some reason we're spending that much more. That being said, I think they could be patrolling some of our downtown areas a little bit more. As I arrived here, waiting for everybody to show up, the owner of the property right across the street from us has been having problems with drug dealers dealing right off that vacant lot over there, and nothing's being done about it. I think our sheriff's department maybe needs to consider setting up some sting actions and cleaning some of these people out of here.
So you're on the city council, what can you do about that?
Get together with the head sheriff's department, Mr. Pendergrass, and sit down and try to game plan how we can improve it. How to get more patrols out here, especially when we're paying the extra $800,000 to the sheriff's department that we're getting. We should be getting more for our money.
Mike, does the city have regular meetings with the sheriff's people to try to talk about stuff like that?
Absolutely. In fact, the sheriff, the West Side captain for the sheriff's department is part of City Hall. It's right part of the building that we work at. And I know our city manager meets with the captain at least weekly, if not more, to try to solve problems. And drugs are not an easy problem. You just can't wave a magic wand and get rid of it. We are getting extra protection for the money that we're paying for. And we are getting the sheriff's department to patrol the water and try to enforce the rules relating to that. Now we're asking them to do more as far as sound and decibels are concerned. So the fact of the matter is that we are paying quite a bit of money more, but I think we're getting more service. If you were ever to see the actual plan that the sheriff's department has for this city, you will see that we're getting a lot more coverage than we would normally get if we hadn't paid the money.
I know people call our sound off the line all the time complaining about speeders on US 19. Is that working? Is the sheriff's office, are they giving out tickets? What are they doing?
Well, we get a report quarterly from the sheriff's department, and it shows that more and more people are getting tickets for speeding, because that's our major problem on 19. There are some people that don't care about whether they break the law or not, but the sheriff's department is handing out tickets both on the water and on 19 and other places in the city. So we are getting a lot more coverage for it.
Okay, Cindy, you think it's going well enough?
I think it still could be better. There's always room for improvement with anybody. I almost got T-boned personally at Three Sisters Springs and Paradise Point Road 2 weeks ago. Somebody just blew through the stop sign at about 50 miles an hour down Three Sisters. When I see an officer sitting out there, it makes me happy. I think maybe we should implement what we had in Gainesville, is we had motorcycle officers that weren't so obvious to those people, and if we had motorcycle officers being a little less inconspicuous, maybe they could pick up those folks that are breaking the law and speeding and endangering our children at bus stops. I think that may be something to help what we've got going on here, but I think there's always room for improvement.
There's a growing homeless population in Chris River. First of all, do you recognize that? And second of all, what, if anything, should the city council be doing about that?
Could you repeat that?
I said there's a growing homeless population in Chris River. Mike, what do you, first of all, do you recognize that? And what do you think should be doing about that, Mike?
Well, there are people that don't want to become part of the normal population. Some of them are ill. Some of them have mental problems. The county is doing more of a job dealing with those people than the city can possibly do, because a lot of them really live outside the city. We have a great group of churches in this city that to try to handle some of the problems that some of the veterans, especially, who are homeless, have with problems they have to deal with. And the city will do everything possible when we're approached to try to help these people. But there's a limit as to what a city can do as far as homeless people is concerned.
Okay, Cindy?
I think the churches, that's where they need to be involved. My mom, for example, she and her husband work over at the Gapi House. And unfortunately, they see the same people coming back week after week because they're getting freebies, handouts. I think in order to try to get these homeless folks maybe back into society, I think they need to encourage them to even pay a quarter, something to make them feel more responsible about their lives. Yes, our population is growing, but I think the churches need to be involved and try to help these folks get back on the right track.
We're out of time, but I'm going to get one more question in, because this is a question I like to ask when there's an incumbent and a single challenger. Now, I realize there's two challengers in this race, but since Brandon isn't here, I get to ask the question. And it's a little different for both of you. So this is a question we're going to try to keep the answers as brief as we can. I want Mike, if you could please tell us what you believe your number one accomplishment as a councilman since you've been in office, the one thing. And Cindy, what I'd like for you to tell us is your number one criticism of the incumbent. Mike, we'll start with you.
Well, my number one accomplishment is to get $12 million grant from the state to get people off of septic tanks. When the state came out with 3 grants for cities in the state of Florida, back in the late 90s, we were in the top 3. All of a sudden, we disappeared. And I was a pain in the ass, pardon my French, to the people in the city saying, we've got to fight for that one of those grants. And I have been a pain all along in trying to get that done. And we finally got a grant to get people off of septic tanks. And of all the things that I've been involved in, and there have been many, that is my greatest accomplishment.
Mike and Cindy?
Well, the subject that hasn't been brought up has been the Riverwalk. We've spent so much money on this Riverwalk that yet remains finished. Before a project of that magnitude should have started and money's been spent, the I's should have been dotted and the T's should have been crossed, and everybody should have signed off on that project before they broke ground. As it sits right now, we've got an unfinished project that we have business owners that have to sign off on giving up their property rights to complete this thing. Now, as it stands, it's going to take our taxpayer dollars to complete this thing. But I think prior planning would have provided better performance.
Thank you very much, Candace.
Can I comment on that?
Okay, good job, candidates. Let's go ahead with closing statements, and Cindy, we're going to let you go first this time.
In closing, are we on or not?
Nope. No, it's off. It's off.
Am I there? There. Yes. In closing, our environment needs to be a top priority. In addition to doing the right thing and restoring Kings Bay, our tourism economy depends on our water quality. I remember Kings Bay looking like the Rainbow River. I'm hopeful that working together with U.S. Fish and Wildlife and Save Crystal River, we can bring back the crystal clear water that Crystal River is known for. It's a win-win for everyone. I'm an experienced business owner of 3 businesses. I know what it takes to create a successful business that has great customer service. Our city needs to help local businesses, owners arrive and thrive. Our city needs to be more transparent. No more personal emails should be used. Only government emails should be utilized. Our city officials need to be available. I would like to schedule a few hours every week so residents and concerned citizens can come and see me when that time is allotted. I will bring much needed diversity to an all-male council. Studies have shown that having more female leaders can significantly increase performance of boards and businesses. The city of Crystal River needs new blood in its leadership. We desperately need to kickstart our economy. This starts with new leadership and fresh ideas. I will bring energy and enthusiasm to the council. I'm a very friendly, outgoing, and approachable person. I'm here for the people of Crystal River. I'm a resident and business owner within the city limits of Crystal River. I'm running for this office with no hidden agendas. I'm asking for your vote on or before November the 6th. If elected, I can place my hand on the Bible, knowing that I have run for office with integrity and truthfulness to the residents of Crystal River. Working together, we can make Crystal River an even better place to work, live, and play. Vote Cindy Guy, the right guy for the job.
And now we'll hear from Mike Lewis.
things, not knowing what it takes to get them accomplished is an easy thing to do. Try being on the council when you have tough decisions to make. Where there's a group of people that are not happy with what you want to do and a group of people that are happy. Darn if you do and darn if you don't. It's a challenge, and it's something that I've been doing for many years and something that I plan on doing with your vote. I'm an accountant, but I do it part-time. My full-time is devotion to this city. You ask my other half, she'll tell you, I spend more time in the city than I do with anything else. We don't do as much traveling as we like, but we're doing what we want to do, and that is to make this city an even greater place than it has been. I've been active in this city for over 20 years, serving as a charter board member and president of the Boys and Girls Club, which originally relocated in Crystal River. I am past president of the Wildlife Park and treasurer of the Veterans Coalition. My continuing work on Kings Bay cleanup is a necessity, and I will continue to work with our state legislator for additional funding. I'm on a first-name basis with both of our legislators, and they have promised me that they would continue funding this city as long as we work together. I led the charge, as I said, to obtain a state grant, which resulted in helping to eliminate septic tanks which pollute the water. Oh boy, I'm running out of time. At the end of the month, I was responsible for bringing a traveling veterans memorial to this city, the first in the state of Florida. The city is sponsoring it, and I'm very happy to be a part of that. The city has benefited from my experience as an accountant. I am stable. I have an open door policy. I'm a full-time person on the city, and a vote for me will maintain stability in the city. Your vote would be very much appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, good job, candidates, and we appreciate it, and I appreciate how well the audience behaved tonight too. This is a very difficult thing to do, to put yourself up here and run for office and answer these questions, but both of you did a great job. We appreciate you coming, and citizens, thanks for being involved. Have a good night.